Welcome to another edition of News Bites here on Daily World Television. My name is Kal Korff and I'm your host. The American economy, for the first time in over 10 years, is now finally growing at a pace that is starting to worry its global competitors, including China. What has happened is this. In the last month, the number of jobs that have been added are roughly 235,000 minimum. Optimism among large companies is at a record high level not seen in 10 years because Donald Trump has promised big business, big corporate tax breaks, and other incentives to bring jobs back to the United States. Take this effort combined with cutting in half the number of H-1B work visas and the fact that 90% of the illegal aliens coming in from Mexico have essentially stopped crossing the border. There's been a drop of some 90% as we have reported earlier. You combine all of this and companies are now hiring at a faster clip than they have in a long time. In fact, as of these most recent figures, which just came out from the US government, it seems now that record numbers of Americans now have jobs and are working, as opposed to record numbers of Americans being not in the workforce, which was the case month after month after month for years under Trump's predecessor, American President Barack Obama. Companies like Samsung, Apple, Ford, a bunch of other electronic companies and high-tech industries have all pledged that they're not only going to open up a lot of factories in the US, but they intend to create millions of jobs, and they're going to invest tens of billions of dollars. The Trump administration has been engaging these businesses as well as cutting regulations very swiftly. In fact, Trump issued an executive order saying that for every single rule or regulation, 2 had to be cut. He has ordered all federal agencies to report back to him on rules and regulations that are not business friendly and that entities feel should be cut. Trump will then make a decision and work with Congress to undo what has been years of increased regulations and rules that big business has, of course, declared to be stifling or an incentive to leave the United States and set up their operations elsewhere. While creating jobs for Americans is good for the United States, there are still many problems which Trump has no solution for. Let's be honest about this. One is automation. It is a fact that many of the jobs are going to disappear and be done in the near future, certainly within the next 5 years, by robots or machines. Who is going to then hire those workers that will lose their jobs because of inevitable automation? There is also breakthrough technologies on 2 fronts. Nanotechnology, which is building things and materials, especially one atom at a time. Plus, there are things like 3D printing. An object that is 3D printed, depending on what it is and how it is designed, essentially comes out of a printer, done, manufactured. You don't have to hire a worker to build it or workers because it comes out finished. Everyone from China to, of course, the United States, who has invented this technology, has already started using 3D printing to change the industry. So what happens then when millions of people lose their jobs because it no longer takes just a few workers or hundreds of workers or dozens of them to build a car? Instead, it ends up being 3D printed. China has already built houses where only 9 or 10 people are required to build an apartment for a family of 4 in just 2 days. The only workers needed are final inspectors and people to wire the plumbing and the electricity in the unit. The rest is 3D printed.